Hello and welcome. I'm Megan McDowell and I'm the Senior Innovation Editor at Vogue Business. Thank you so much for joining our conversation about digital fashion and NFTs. The global theme for Vogue in September is New Beginnings, which is so appropriate for this time and this topic. When I began writing about digital fashion in 2019, I consciously avoided the phrase non-fungible token just to avoid confusion. But so much has changed since then. With this conversation, I'm really looking forward to understanding NFTs and, more importantly, understanding what this means for fashion. So let's introduce our guests. We have Andy Koo, who is CEO and founder of Altava, which is a gaming and virtual commerce company for fashion. Amber Slotin, who is co-founder and creative director of the Fabricant. Amber is the creator behind the famous iridescence dress, which was the first fashion NFT and which sold for $9,500 as early as May 2019. We have Ben Tsai, president and managing partner of Wave Financial, and he's an expert in blockchain technology and digital assets. And of course, we have Norman Tan, the editor-in-chief of Vogue Singapore. Norman has really led the conversation when it comes to digital fashion, NFTs, and AR, so many different tech adoptions. So we're so happy to see you all here. Thanks for joining.
Hi, good morning.
Hi, good to see you.
In the past few months, we've seen a number of luxury brands really starting to develop NFTs. And some of these brands include Gucci, Louis Vuitton, Burberry, and now Balmain. In addition to, of course, the Fabricant and Artifact, which are digital natives to the space. So Amber, I'm going to start with you. I'm sure you get this question all the time, but help us understand what we mean when we say a fashion NFT. What are we talking about? How do you explain that?
Yeah, so an NFT is basically a digital-only item. It basically creates a unique a unique code. It's a unique piece of code that you can attach to either a 3D file or a physical garment, which creates basically uniqueness and scarcity within the digital world. So this is something that we haven't really seen before, because before you could endlessly copy digital files and you could just share that. But now on the blockchain, it creates a piece of code which makes this piece unique, and that piece you can then trade and switch between multiple people, and it creates scarcity out of it. So this is something that we haven't seen before. Especially with digital-only items, but also with verification of luxury goods. For instance, it can be very interesting to use NFTs, and there's many more applications for using NFTs, as we've seen in art the past period. It's been amazing to see that boom. So yeah, it's really exciting what you can do with this technology.
Absolutely. And it sounds almost like, when you think of physical luxury, it's something that can retain value, build value. You can sell it and you can trade it. So it kind of creates a luxury item in the digital world that wasn't really possible before. Sounds really cool.
Yeah, exactly. I think that is something that we're seeing now with the metaverse being born, that we can actually trade these goods in a way that that is native to this world. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit. I understand that you collaborated with Vogue Singapore for the September issue. What can you share about your project?
Yeah, so it's really exciting. We basically were asked by Vogue Singapore to create a cover that was an NFT. So yeah, I think it's really amazing because it basically created the opportunity for us to dive into the research of Singapore itself, but also like of the technology and how we could combine this into something that was set for the New Beginnings theme, which was something that we love to explore. And so and then we met together with Siobhan Wong, who is an avatar artist. And she basically designed the avatar for us, and we basically created a garment for that. So it was really beautiful to see sort of the garment on this digital native avatar. And Siobhan is already quite known in the space, so she's already created a lot of really cool NFTs. And obviously we, well, in the past created the first garment as an NFT back in the days in 2019 when we released the first garment, yeah, as an NFT on the blockchain. So yeah,
that was a huge deal, by the way. Like you kind of created the first NFT luxury fashion dress, by the way, just so everyone knows. Like you kind of just said that quickly, but that's a really huge deal.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, this was back then a very big experiment and nobody really knew what NFTs were. And I kept explaining to everybody like what it was. But it was a really beautiful experiment to show that, because I think it sold for $9,500, which back then was like crazy amount for people to even think, like for a piece of fabric or piece of digital fabric that doesn't really exist in real life.
Well, I love how you mentioned kind of this idea of being able to create something that isn't possible in the physical world. And I think that has been a really big theme, is that you're not really limited by the laws of physics, which Andy, I think that's a great place to bring it to you. I understand that you also collaborated with Vogue Singapore and Balmain on an NFT flame dress. So what does that mean, a flame dress? What does that, tell us about that project.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, Balmain has been always, a forerunner in digital space, especially in gaming. And we have done previous projects, many projects with Balmain. Last year, when pandemic hit the market, the first thing Balmain wanted to do was to create a virtual showroom and bring it just basically to replicate the real life showroom experience in digital space. And we, as a part of a sequence, we also created an Olivia avatar, where Olivia actually greets everybody, logs into virtual showroom, and he makes the presentation. He opens the show, and then users immersed into it. I think it was the very first true 3D real-time interactive showroom piece. But this was for B2B, and now I think since then. This whole the market's been more mature, and like Amber said, the metaverse, the NFT became a more mainstream. The brands are more embracing the metaverse NFT as a part of their additional channel they are embracing at the moment. With that, we decide to team up with the Balmain again. This time. It's for B2C applications. So it's not just for the B2B, for any consumers can now enjoy and view it. And like Amber said, it's the flame dress. It's a beautiful green dress that has the real flames to it, which you cannot duplicate in real life. But we are generating that as a 3D fashion garment in digital space, where anyone can wear, their avatar can wear the flame dress in virtual worlds. And that so it's not just the only collectible fashion NFTs. Our NFTs that we create, it has an additional further utility where users can wear that in our digital world called Altava. So it's something that Olivier specifically sketch for this particular opportunity, and we can't wait till show it to you in full 3D as a virtual NFT pieces, and we'd love to see everybody wearing that flame dress within in our virtual world in soon.
Yeah, it sounds very cool. I can't wait to see it. Norman, tell us about this project and others. I know you've kind of been always kind of at the forefront of early adoption of new technologies for a print publication, for a fashion magazine. I think it's been really interesting to see all the projects you've done. So tell us about this decision to devote like such an important issue, the September issue, to this concept of NFTs and kind of how you worked on that and what we should expect to see.
Hi, Megan. Yeah, I mean, just listening to Andy and Amber talk about what they've done for Vogue Singapore just blows my mind. It's been such an interesting few months just with all these video conferencing calls, collaborating and discussing this. But for me and for Vogue Singapore, new beginnings for September, when Anna and Edward proposed this a few months ago, for us, new beginnings is that intersection of fashion and technology. And we've been doing this since we launched in September last year. And it's very much tied to, I'm a big fan of mission statements, and we established a mission statement for Vogue Singapore very early on, which was, how do we innovatively create impactful visuals and intelligent stories that inspire our readers to dream and to drive change for good? So with that, it's all through the lens of innovation. And I just love how, the NFT space is a new marketplace for creators. It's inherently creative, like just listening to what has already been created. So Vogue is a reflection of our times. It's all about celebrating creativity. So for me, I really wanted to do something different for September. It's part of this global theme. I wanted to explore this nexus, and Singapore has always been known as a hub for technology anyway. So look, we launched today. It's going to be everywhere across social media and all digital platforms. In addition to the cover with the Fabricant and Siobhan, we have another cover with Chad Knight, who is a 3D designer for Nike and obviously very popular in this NFT space. And he's collaborated with Bay of Design, which is a Singapore design duo. And they have created the AI kind of powered fractal headpieces that you see with Chad's work. And inside the book, we have beauty NFTs with Dane Yoon, who's a surreal makeup artist. And we also worked with a Singapore design studio called Lanzavecchia NY, Singapore and Italian. And they've created a living vase 01, which is basically an eternal flowering vase that blooms and wilts with every sunrise. So everything's inspired by new beginnings. Everything has a sunrise as a leitmotif, which is the global kind of scarlet thread. So I just can't wait for everyone to experience it. There's also an Instagram filter with Amber's work, that headdress. So you can jump on Instagram and wear the headdress that's on the cover. There's also this AR t-shirt that we have. It's like a Vogue t-shirt. When you scan it, you see Chad's cover on your chest. So there's a whole bunch of things, and it's all housed on this microsite that we created. So, historically, the print cover is obviously very important. It's very prestigious. And, we create digital covers and they're seen as a little bit less prestigious. For this September issue, we've actually reversed that thinking. So we have created a print cover, but it's a huge QR code in this reflective foil on like an ombre sunrise pattern. And it really just serves as a portal to this microsite. So we have a print cover, but it's not really the cover. The real covers exist only digitally, and it's with the Fabricant and Siobhan Wong, as well as Bay of Design and Chad.
Genius. I think it's so cool. I know you gave me an early preview, and it's amazing, and I love it. So I hope everyone checks it out, and I can't wait to try the Instagram filter as well. I want to talk about, because you actually, you mentioned a lot of different technologies. It's not just NFTs. You can have digital fashion, digital beauty items, digital headdresses that aren't necessarily NFTs. You can wear digital fashion with augmented reality, which you just kind of mentioned. So I want to talk to everyone to understand, like when we talk about digital fashion, like the obvious application is, oh, you can wear it on Instagram, you can change your clothes immediately. But what is the value of actually making an NFT? I know we kind of touched on that, Amber, earlier. I don't know. Do you want to talk about what changes when you make it an NFT versus just when we think of like a digital fashion outfit on Instagram?
Yeah, sure. The application of this is so much wider because in a sense, you have this unique piece of code. And this piece of code can function as something that you can use to enter all kinds of different spaces. So imagine you buy an NFT of a garment, which could be a 2D image, for instance, or just a beautiful video of this garment. When you own that NFT, it could be that this NFT links to all kinds of files within games that actually have these garments laid out. So that if you enter a specific metaverse or a specific game, that you have your item that you bought as an NFT that you can wear in all of these different spaces. So we call that interoperability. So you're able to wear this garment in all of these different spaces. Next to that, you would be able then to dress yourself with a picture or with an AR filter. But I think the interesting thing about this NFT is that everything could be programmed into the smart contract. So like if you're looking to wear it in all these different places, it's actually very useful to have this one piece of code, which can always link back to this file. So I think like we haven't seen the most of the possibilities yet of what is possible there. But I can't wait to see what this translation will look like in all these different metaverses. Yeah, I think a lot of people are working on that at the moment.
Absolutely. Well, Ben, I want to take it to you. I understand that you invest in and you work in cryptocurrency and blockchain-based businesses and startups and not just fashion. So tell me, kind of building on what Amber said, what are you looking for and what opportunity do you see specifically for NFT fashion?
Yeah, we're seeing this space really explode. I think we're very excited by all of the investments and all of the interest that's focused on NFTs in general. More specific, probably to art immediately, and I mean art in a very general sense. That includes fashion, that would include music, and so on and so forth. And then the interest is exploding. And Norma and I were speaking about this previously also. This is driven also by a new group of investors, a new group of collectors who are probably of younger age, who are affluent from making money in the crypto space. They hold large amounts of cryptocurrency, which is used to transact. And because of that, they are buying up a lot of these pieces, which they find to be very important. And on top of that, similar to what Amber says, having a lot of these representations in virtual world also provides a chance for people to wear unique pieces that aren't copyable by other people. So, assuming that the metaverses are built correctly, and I defer to Andy on things like this, but if they're built correctly, you wouldn't have kind of counterfeit outfits of the same outfits that other people want, and so on and so forth. So there is that kind of, conversion control, design control, and so forth that could be put into place. All of these things from our perspective is really the first layer. The second layer is being able to trade it, use it. And the third layer really is kind of the finance around it, where we can talk about, every time that NFT transacts, the original producer gets a cut of the revenue, which is a very revolutionary thing. Picasso's probably owed a lot of residual he's never going to see, but in the NFT world, all of that can be built in. So the artists and the fashion designers can all benefit from their original design long after, as it becomes more popular. So I think that's all very exciting, and a lot of that is finance oriented. And those are the things that we look at to invest in, both on the NFTs themselves and also on the platform, on the platforms.
That's a really good point, because I know the fashion world, the analog fashion world, the idea of both counterfeiting and resale and rental has been pretty challenging and controversial because of a number of reasons, because of copying, because of fakes, doubts about authenticity on one hand, and on the other hand, these external platforms are making money selling these luxury goods, and the luxury brands don't have any control over the experience. So it sounds like digital fashion almost might be ahead of the game than analog physical fashion in those two aspects.
Yeah, I would say that it allows the creators to make a choice as to whether they want to be in an open or a closed ecosystem, whether they want to be paid for subsequent transactions, and so on and so forth. So it really gives the flexibility back to the creators to do this. And I think also the initial barrier to entry is relatively low compared to kind of getting into traditional art or having 30-50 year experience to get to becoming a top designer. I think the barrier to entry is lower there too. So that freedom, I think, is generating a lot of potentially creative things in this space.
Yeah, well, that's so true, because I think just like the Fabricant and Artifact and all these designers, some have traditional fashion backgrounds like Amber does, and others are kind of enthusiasts. So it gives a lot, kind of democratizes the space. But Amber, I think, were you going to say something there on that note?
Well, I think it's just like really interesting to give the agency back to the creators, because I think that's where it belongs. And I think in a sense, like a lot of times we've lost this connection to this creativity in a sense. And I think young new designers, usually how they start out is they need to have like a couple of million to start a fashion brand. And right now within the digital fashion space, you're able to just start your brand and see if people like it and sell it and monetize it and create your own microeconomy, which I think is the most exciting thing I've seen in the entire sort of like blockchain industry, is that this actually creates microeconomies for people to create their own agency. So yeah, I just wanted to add that.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I think, Norman, one thing that we've talked about a lot is the idea of collaboration and partnership. This space seems very collaborative. And in fact, all of the projects that you're introducing this month were done through partnerships. So I don't know if Norman or Ben, maybe both of you can talk about the importance of partnership in this space.
I mean, I just want to just add on to what Amber was talking about creativity. Like if you think about
Yeah.
actually in the real world, talking about Singapore designers, you know, they might start off very creative and very kind of directional with their designs, but they always have to go with what sells. And some designers, and you see this across the board, end up watering down their designs to be things that are t-shirts or shift dresses, because these are things that are practical and they sell, because in real life, we need clothes to serve as a functional purchase still, right? I mean, depends on who you are. And that whole conversation of fashion as art, you know, that age-old conversation, depending on who you ask, is fashion art?
Right.
And in the real world, the general consensus is no, because it needs to serve a function, and you wear it and you're wearing this top or a dress, it's going to have wear and tear, and therefore its value will depreciate, generally speaking, unless, you know, you have really rare drops when it comes to sneakers or special collaborations. And I think what's exciting about this NFT digital space is, firstly, obviously wear and tear doesn't exist unless you program for it. And
that's cool.
Your designs can be directional. You can celebrate creativity and you could change your outfit every minute if you wanted to. There's no practicality for that. You don't need to, like, you know, with us, we like, oh, I just want to throw on a pair of jeans and a t-shirt, or just, you know, a beautiful black dress. Like that functionality, I think, doesn't really translate to the digital space. I mean, what do you guys think?
Not at all. I think like the thing is, like, the interesting thing is what happens when you take functionality and expression apart. Because I think that's something that we haven't seen in the history of fashion, because it always needed to be functional, or it would be a museum piece, you know, that nobody could wear. So like, yeah, I think the borders between fashion and art are just disappearing. And I think that is just something that we really haven't seen before. So I can't wait for the creative explorations that we're still going to see in the space.
Exactly, because I want to wear a flame dress every day. It doesn't just have to be on my special occasions. You know what I mean? And then, because I was talking to Ben about this, Megan, and I thought that the valuation of fashion NFTs, right? Because art is always seen as like a higher art form than fashion, generally speaking, in the real world. But if art inherently exists as a form of expression, and in this digital space, we wear clothes, digital fashion to be expression, why shouldn't fashion NFTs be valued as much as art NFTs? And I suppose this is something that Ben can share his expertise on.
Yeah, I really feel like, you know, as per our conversation, you know, recently, I think that really opens up a whole new world of different ways of looking at fashion as a part of the art world, and potentially collectability and being able to see that. You know, kind of an analog example, I was at a $65 million open house. You know, they had Picassos on the wall, they had great art. But when I walked into the walk-in closet, they actually had expensive clothes hanging on there as a part of the display, as the staging. So you are starting to see that a little bit in the analog world. But, you know, the utility thing gets in the way. I know in Singapore, people don't wear big fur coats and big, you know, down jackets because it's hot in Singapore. So, you know, from that perspective, I think that the functionality kind of gets in the way. Whereas in the whole metaverse, you know, there's a lot of flexibility to do a lot more. For example, the flame dress, that sounds amazing. So, you know, it's such an interesting concept. Things that are hard to exist in the regular world can be done in the metaverse. And from that perspective, then the valuation comes down to what people think that it's worth. We're really early in this space. So a lot of what we're seeing right now, they're probably way undervalued relative to what they can be if the rest of the world was to embrace the NFTs and make that into, you know, elevate that into kind of a type of art. And I think that in itself is very exciting. The utility aspect adds to that value also. So,
yeah, I think.
Go ahead.
You know, fashion NFT, you know, itself offers greater degree of utility than art, you know, NFTs. And you know, fashion is, you know, in generally, you know, greater reflection of a, you know, cultural. We talked about it, zeitgeist, and I think, you know, and it has offers also greater kind of a freedom, degree of, you know, collaborative opportunity with music, art, and other industries, you know, going forward, and, you know, make it even more unique than the art, you know, digital art pieces of today. So I think, you know, that's the potential we have for, you know, fashion NFTs, you know, and makes it even more investable, I think, tradable, you know, asset class than potentially art, NFTs, going forward. And
Mhm.
it's about the scarcity, like Amber said, that governs also the pricing and desirability of NFTs anyway. So we are on the completely different equations, complete different kind of ways to evaluate the value of these NFTs, going forward. That I think we have a greater chance to have a really truly more valuable fashion NFTs than even the art, some of the famous art NFTs going forward.
Well, that's a great point. I mean, and then when you think about like the utility, you can wear them in virtual worlds. You can wear them not just Instagram and Zoom, but you can wear them in all these worlds. And if you think how many people see how cool you look when you walk down the street or you go to a restaurant versus how many people see you when you're on the internet, the social capital of wearing a very cool outfit is really magnified when you're talking about virtual spaces. So there actually is real utility, which is really interesting. But Andy, I want to hear, we kind of talked about this a little bit, but I want to hear what's next for Altava and this idea of digital fashion and digital worlds and NFTs.
Yeah, so, we are, augmented reality now, launching, rebranding everything under Altava, name of Altava. So we are launching Altava Marketplace. That's pretty much focusing on luxury brands, real life based, the luxury brands, fashion NFTs. Which has a extension and utility function to our own metaverse called the virtual world called Altava. So we are launching both, Altava Market that's connected, integrated, with each other. In Korea first in September 30th, and then followed by China launch in October, and Southeast Asia in Q4. And globally, the rest of the world, Q1 next year. That's so we are excited about what's happening with us, and Amber's here, so we also love to collaborate with the Fabricant going forward in the future.
Well, Amber, I know you at the Fabricant also have some stuff you're working on. What can you share there?
Yeah, so we have actually very exciting plans. On the 26th of August, we'll be launching our first MVP of our Fabricant Studio, which is basically a co-creational digital fashion platform, which will be able to allow users to create unique NFTs of garments that are designed by certain designers with fabrics. So the idea is that you can basically create your own version of a design that someone else created, and in that process, actually, the fabric creator, the designer, and the person who combines them all get royalties, and then they can list them as an NFT. So the idea is that we are all sort of part of this whole, and we need to basically co-create this digital fashion metaverse together. And the idea is basically that we can't do this alone, so we need everybody on board to help us out and co-create this with us. So we're super excited because we have a team of really interesting designers and a couple of brands who joined us, and we'll be launching sort of the platform as an MVP. So it's a closed group still, but I think beginning next year we want to open it for the public. And the idea is that people will be able to trade their unique pieces, and then they'll be able to wear that in all the different metaverses. So, but we're currently still in testing stages, but we're very excited about it. Yeah.
Very cool. Well, thank you for sharing that. And Norman, I guess for the final question, I'd love to talk to you about why, what's the opportunity in NFTs for print magazines, for a fashion Bible like Vogue? What's the opportunity you see in the future for NFTs?
I'm just really excited about new protagonists, new creators. There are so many interesting creators in the digital space that I don't think the Vogue industry and universe has really tapped into yet. And we're starting with this, I think, quite a historic with this September issue. And I'd love to just explore and find out new talent in this space and how they can tell stories that inspire our readers to dream from a fashion perspective. I mean, that's inherently what Vogue does and will continue to do. So I'm excited for future collaborations and future experiences to enrich Vogue for our readers.
Very cool. And it's out today, right? So we can see everything. It's accessible now.
Yep, so the microsite is live. You can scan the print cover or just go to vogue.sg. There'll be links to this whole microsite, which is an open air gallery. You will see the 2 covers there. You can click on them to learn more about them, see them animated, which is how it's meant to be presented. And there's also different clickable points. So there's a clickable point that leads to the Balmain project with Andy and his team. There's to the Instagram filter. And also we worked with 48 local artists and performers in Singapore, and we asked them to create a bespoke piece of work, 30 seconds or less, inspired by the theme of new beginnings. So there's dancers, there's violinists, there's singers and actors. So there's a lot going on, but it can all be seen on that microsite.
Very cool. Well, this has been a great conversation. It's been so nice talking to you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks for the invite.
Thanks, Megan.